Alright inkers, I got a question for you. Sharpies or traditional? The answer may surprise you. What's up guys, I'm J.A.R. of BLACKEST, and today I'm here to answer that question. You see, as someone who's a huge fan of inking, I often see a lot of people ask on different channels, different art communities, pretty much everywhere, like, hey, are Sharpies art supplies? Are they inking supplies? Should I use them in my professional career, in my professional art? And the answer may surprise you, as I have my own answer for that. Yes, but also no. You see, to me, Sharpies definitely have a convenience level to them. They come in a variety of sizes, they're cheap and affordable, but for the most part, I'm always going to pick tradition. So I thought the best way to explain this would actually to do an illustration, one using fine liners and Sharpies and the other one actually using traditional methods. Now, where can I find a traditional ink that I actually did that would fit for this? This one right here, my first ever ink review that I did way back when. And I think this is an appropriate response as it represents my skill level at the time, as that piece of art was actually done around the same time that this piece of art was. As I have a small little confession. The piece that we'll be showing today was actually done quite a bit ago for a different video that unfortunately was never made. It was also done really early into Raf's actual creation and design, which is why he looks so different and he doesn't have the proper logo. So with all that said, let's go ahead and roll that time lapse to talk about the differences between the two. Sharpies have quite a few positives that are undeniable. For one, they are dirt cheap, provide a good solid black, and they're available at literally any store you go to. Walmart, Target, CVS, even Dollar Tree sells them. So there's a convenience factor that they have that other art supplies doesn't, including fine liners, as they're really traditionally only sold at actual art stores, though some Walmarts are starting to pick up small amounts here and there, which is nice. But to me, that's honestly as far as I can take the Sharpies compliments, because when it comes to actually using them in professional art setting, it really starts to fall flat. And I'm going to actually list the negatives for a traditional inking before I list the negatives of the actual Sharpie one, so you can see what I mean. For one, with traditional inking, it's going to be a lot more time consuming. It's not going to be as on the go as Sharpies have. With Sharpies, you can take them anywhere. In between classes, you can work on sketches, but with traditional inking, you really can't do that. You have to set up time for it, and it does take time to master it. Using a dip pen, using a brush is something that as the more you do, you will get better and you will actually improve, but you do have to put time into it. It's not as intuitive as an actual Sharpie is, which is a huge positive because it's basically like using a pen, but when it comes to using a brush, it is awkward. Using a dip pen's a little awkward at first, and you have to adjust and learn. On top of that, again, with traditional inking, you can't just kind of start whenever you want. You do have to get your water set up, and it does take a little more time to get it set up. You do have more tools, and on top of that, you also have to clean your tools. So there's a few negatives there. Ink can also be pretty expensive. My preferred favorite ink, the Winsor Newton ink, actually sells about $5.99 for a 1 ounce bottle on Amazon, which in my opinion is a pretty good deal. But there's some inks out there that literally sell for like $30 for 1 fluid ounce, and that's absolutely insane. And I cannot recommend that because that is a huge waste of money. But at the end of the day, what really sells traditional inking for me is you have more at your disposal, more techniques, and the ability to actually go in and perform more complexity to your art that you simply can't achieve with normal Sharpies. On top of that, there's the longevity, and to me, that's the Sharpie killer. Sharpies yellow over time. This is a proven fact. And this piece that I actually made for this video, well, I have to say that even though it was actually made about a year or more ago and hasn't yellowed that bad, other pieces that I have made have horrifically yellowed, and it's really shocking that how quickly these pieces can yellow over time. I'm lucky this one hasn't, but to me, that is the Sharpie killer. If you're a professional artist and you're commissioned to actually go in and make a professional piece of art, you want to make something for your customer or for the company you're working for that's going to last over time. It's a shame that, you know, they put it on the wall and then it just yellows and gets damaged over time. And to me, that's one of the damages to actually using Sharpies. Now, I personally think that Sharpies are a great tool for when you're first getting into inking, as again, it is a little more time consuming and takes time to actually learn to get good with traditional inks, and on top of that, they're also a little more expensive. Sharpies are a great way to actually get your foot in the door when it comes to inking and help build up that love and passion that I think all people who are huge art fans would have if they got into inking. Inking is something that really did scare me when I first wanted to get into it, and I only used fine liners and Sharpie. But I saw the negatives and the limitations that those tools would give me and decided to push past those into the realm of traditional inking, and I fell in love with it. And I really do think that if other artists gave it a shot, they would also fall in love with this artistic medium as much as I have. So overall, that's my opinion on Sharpies. I figured that before I actually show you guys the finished piece, I'll give examples of those yellowing issues as I've already found them in my artwork that I've completed less than a year ago. All the sketches that I did in this mixed media sketchbook were complete with Sharpies, Fineliners, and other different art supplies. They were also complete about a month or two after the actual piece we just finished, and already have horrible yellowing, though the piece we did do luckily has not yellowed too bad. On top of that, I have adjusted the line to try and show you guys the yellowing issue, but it will be far more apparent in person, which is difficult to do over the internet. So let's go ahead and take a look. Opening the page, you can see that it's going to start pretty minimum. There's no real heavy yellowing, and it's mostly limited to the back. But oh boy, is that going to change soon, as the yellowing will become far more apparent. But honestly, the luckiest in this book is this one here of Rocky, where there's no yellowing on her, but on the page before it. And if I wasn't just doing test signatures, I would be really mad that this page got ruined. And you're going to quickly notice that this is going to get far worse because boom, ugly yellowing. All of the white, all of the red, the white ink, it is just yellow and it looks disgusting. It's far more apparent on person, and you can even see it on the back of the page here, where the yellowing actually transferred. Looking on the back, it's even worse. All of that is going to eventually become on the front. Drawing that was really one of the first drawings I actually was able to draw of Raph fully completed. His look was finalized, his actual logo was finalized, he's in a cool pose, and I had a lot of the elements that made Raph Raph. This piece isn't going to last long because I didn't use traditional methods, I didn't use good ink, and the Sharpies are going to destroy themselves over time. You can see like there's yellowing here, and it just gets worse and worse throughout the book. Mainly in small patches here and there, like on the shoulder or on the back of pieces, but eventually it's actually going to bleed through and completely ruin the art, which is just absolutely heartbreaking for me, especially someone who wants to keep their sketches as a good time capsule to what I have done and what I'm able to do and compare and contrast. But with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the finished piece in all its finished glory. And taking a look at the finished piece, I have to say, I still like it. Yeah, the pose is a little stiff and exaggerated, the anatomy's a little wonky, there's no perspective, and the detailing's not as detailed as I do, and there's no real trademarks of my artwork now, but it's a good time capsule of what I was capable of and how I've grown as an artist. With traditional methods and my love for inking, I was able to go in and add a bit of complexity to it and refineness that I couldn't do with Sharpies, and that's why I love traditional methods, and why I recommend that if you're starting out and starting to do inking, you really want to get into that whole like, well, you know what, I think I will ink my pencils, and start to develop that love for it, definitely go with Sharpies. But when you start taking art seriously, you start doing professional work, and you actually want to become a better artist and evolve, leave the Sharpies behind. The fact that Sharpies can limit what you're capable of in your art is not good already, but the fact that they just don't give a longevity to your artwork, in my opinion, is the killing blow to the Sharpies. I want to be able to make a piece, put it on my wall, and look at it for the rest of my life or until my house burns down, because I poured a lot of time into that piece. I'm proud of it, and I want to have that longevity to it, which Sharpies just can't promise. I have a lot of sketches that are younger than this piece that have already horribly yellowed, and it's only a matter of time between this one and my other pieces that I used to do back then until they're ruined from yellowing as well. And I only have the pictures left instead of the actual original art. I've grown as an artist, and I think this video is also going to help you figure out when to use Sharpies. I'm not going to rag on people who use Sharpies in their art, but I will say that I personally don't recommend it for these reasons, and I'd love to hear you guys in the comment section down below. Do you think I'm just blinded by my love of traditional inking, or do you think I made legitimately good points? I want to hear them in the comment section down below. This ain't a bait just to get that whole YouTube algorithm. I'm genuinely curious to see what other people in the art community think of this debate, and I've seen a lot of people throw different reasons here and there for it, and I just want to put my hat in the ring. So let me know down below, subscribe to the channel for more art animation based content, and remember, I'm J-Rod at BLACKEST. I draw power and my own soul.